Welcome back to The Explainer. Today, we are diving headfirst into the grim darkness of the far future. Because the Eternal War, well, it's just entered a terrifying new phase. We're going to explore how a massive tear in reality has resurrected a long-lost hero, woken up an ancient evil, and given birth to a totally new and pretty desperate hope. Okay, so let's get right into it. For 10,000 years, the Imperium of Man has been locked in this state of constant, grinding war. But a recent cataclysm has just shattered that fragile reality completely. And look, this isn't just another war we're talking about. This is a fundamental change to the very fabric of existence. So where did it all start? It began with something called the Cicatrix maledictum, but most people call it the Great Rift. And it is a wound in the very fabric of reality so vast, it has literally, and I mean literally, torn the galaxy in two. This is not just another warp storm. It's a permanent, gaping maw of pure chaotic energy, unleashing madness and demons on a scale we haven't seen since the Horus Heresy itself. And this catastrophic event, well, it's created two completely distinct Imperiums. On one side, you've got the Imperium Sanctus, which is still kind of bathed in the Emperor's guiding light from the Astronomicon. But on the other side, you've got the Imperium Nihilus, a lightless realm just plunged into absolute chaos, where warp travel is basically a death sentence, and countless worlds are completely cut off, left to fend for themselves or just be eaten by the darkness. But just as all hope seemed completely lost, in the Imperium's darkest hour, a legend was reborn. Robote Guilliman, the Primarch of the Ultramarines, was resurrected, and he woke up to a nightmare, a galaxy that was 10,000 years in the making. He wasted no time at all, immediately launching the Indomitus Crusade to try and reclaim the lost half of his father's shattered empire. But here's the thing. This new age of darkness, it's also stirred up some old ghosts. It's dredged up secrets the Imperium has tried to bury for millennia. Turns out, the galaxy's memory is long, and it's pretty unforgiving. So, who are the Blood Ravens? Well, this mysterious Space Marine chapter is the perfect example of the kinds of secrets the Imperium tries to keep buried. For centuries, their own origins have been a complete mystery, even to them, and it drives their relentless and, sometimes reckless quest for knowledge. So get this, they have no idea which of the original Primarchs they come from. That is highly unusual and, frankly, deeply troubling to the rest of the Imperium. Their official histories are completely blank before a certain point in M37. Just a total void that haunts their every action. You combine that with their unusually high number of powerful psychers. We're talking sanctioned telepaths, and it makes them a huge anomaly that the rest of the Imperium watches with a lot of suspicion. And this whole situation, it illustrates a core, terrifying truth. The Blood Raven's missing past is just a symptom of a far greater, galaxy-spanning cover-up. You see, before the heresy, there were 20 Primarchs and 20 Legions. But two of them, the 2nd and the 11th, were deliberately and completely wiped from all Imperial records. A feat that is, almost impossible to even imagine. Now, what's really fascinating here is that this timeline shows these Primarchs were found, they fought in the Great Crusade, and then something went so horribly wrong that the Emperor himself purged them and their legions from memory. Think about that. This was a fate even the arch-traitor Horus was spared. Whatever they did, it was considered a sin so great that just forgetting they ever existed was the only solution. Okay, so let's move on to the new threats, because this is where it all starts to build. The Great Rift didn't just unleash demons. Oh no. Its psychic shockwave was like a galaxy-wide alarm clock for an ancient evil that makes chaos look like a passing fad. Across millions of worlds, ancient protocols, things designed to combat the very energies of the warp that now bleed across the galaxy, they were activated. Unsleeping sentinels, dormant for 60 million years, began to stir, kicking off a mass awakening on a scale that is it's almost unimaginable. And what was the result? Well, as a direct consequence of the Great Rift, over 1,000 Necron tomb worlds have awoken up at a drastically increased rate. Their legions of undying androids are rising from beneath the sands of forgotten planets to reclaim their ancient empire and impose their cold, silent logic on a galaxy they see as just consumed by chaos. And their number one goal is to harvest a substance called Blackstone, which has this unique property of nullifying the warp. So what's the problem? The Imperium's Adeptus Mechanicus has been unknowingly building their forge worlds on top of these massive blackstone deposits for thousands of years, mistaking this incredibly rare and powerful substance for just another useful rock. So the crucial point here is that this has ignited a brand new, galaxy-spanning war for the very resources the Imperium needs to survive. We're talking well over half of all the Imperium's Forge and Night worlds, the industrial heart of their war machine, now finding themselves under siege by the Necrons rising from right beneath their feet. The Imperium's industrial might is literally being eaten from the inside out. And right in the middle of all this chaos, a new, totally unpredictable power has emerged. One that wasn't born from the past, but as a direct answer to this new age of despair. A new hope for a dying race. They are the Inari, a radical new death cult that is pulling members from every single warring faction of the Eldari race. And they are all united by a single, desperate, and some would say heretical hope, that in death, their entire race can finally be reborn. For the first time since their fall 10,000 years ago, you have Eldar from the disciplined craft worlds, the sadistic dark city of Kamara, and the enigmatic Harlequins all fighting side by side. I mean, this is a unification that was previously thought to be absolutely impossible. It's a real testament to just how desperate their situation has become. Their ultimate goal is to find a way to birth their god without the mass sacrifice of their entire species, a path that has led them to make some very, very strange alliances. They are a true wildcard in this new age. In fact, they were instrumental in bringing Gilliaman back to life, which just proves they are willing to do whatever it takes to achieve their goals, even if it means helping their ancient enemies. So, where does all this leave the galaxy? The old stalemate? That's completely over. The board has been violently reset, and all the players are now making moves that will decide the fate of trillions. So what does this new galactic landscape look like? Well, we have a resurrected Primarch fighting a desperate war to save a shattered empire. We have an ancient android race rising up to impose its own brand of cold, silent order. We've got a new death cult making a huge gamble for their race's soul. And all the while, the dark secrets of the past are threatening to unravel everything. This isn't the eternal war of the past anymore. This is a frantic, desperate scramble for survival in a galaxy where none of the old rules apply. And that leaves us with one final, chilling thought. In an age that's now defined by resurrected saviors and awakening gods, is there any room left for mortals at all?